Good morning, everybody. It's Mindy. It's been a couple weeks, 3, I think, to be exact, but I'm back. Certainly not on the every week schedule that I thought I'd be, but I'm back for now. So anyway, I have a very, very simple recipe this morning. It's kind of a good little lead up to Valentine's Day. It's chocolate. It takes 2 ingredients, and you can do a couple of different things with it. So I thought I would do that this week and just kind of let you know what I do with this kind of thing. It's chocolate ganache, and it's basically it's kind of like a frosting slash chocolate coating. You can do a couple different things with it, which I'm going to show you here. So I'm going to start, as I usually do, I'm going to go ahead and start doing what I do, and then I'll explain as we go along. So I have chocolate chips. I am using Ghirardelli. They're just so decadent. It's kind of good for this recipe. So Ghirardelli, and then heavy whipping cream. Those are the 2 things you need. I'm going to explain this in a second, but right now I am going to pour over the whipping cream just so this can start melting, and then I'll explain what I'm doing here. Okay, so right before I turned on the video, I took the small saucepan and I put in a half cup of the heavy whipping cream, as I showed you earlier, and I put that to half a cup of the Ghirardelli chips. So whatever amount you want to make, it's going to be equal parts of the whipping cream and the chocolate. I normally do, depending on how much I need, I usually do like a cup to a cup, but I made this earlier this week and I decorated a cake with it. I'll show you that in a second. So I'm just kind of doing this for the video, and I'll use this a little bit later for a couple things. So I just used a half cup and a half cup. You can use as much as you need to, and it's just, again, the equal 2 parts. So what I did, I poured my half cup of chips into the glass bowl previously, and then on the stove I got this mixed up I probably got it a little hotter than it needs to be, but you want it to be heated up just before boiling. So that's the best way to make sure it's hot enough to melt the chocolate, but without scalding the cream. And then I poured it over, just poured the hot, heavy whipping cream over the chocolate, and I let it sit for about 2 minutes. Here comes the dog. Morning, Colby. So I just let that sit to get the chocolate good and heated, and now I'm just going to take my whisk and just start whisking. It's always important to use a little bit of a bigger bowl so you have room to kind of whisk this into place. And it melted up really quick. So it is chocolate cream, basically. It's so delicious, so good. You can use it on cake, which is what I did here. I'll lift this up in a second. I actually made a football cake for my son's birthday over the weekend, and it was chocolate cake. I did put a little bit of chocolate buttercream as a base, and then I went ahead and I poured the ganache over, and then it dries to kind of this nice smooth sheen. It's really good. If you've ever gone to a fancy restaurant, this is what they typically would drizzle over the plate where they put the fresh fruit, or if you have like a chocolate topped cheesecake, a lot of times this is what is on it. So it can be used for a lot of things. Okay, I'm just going to demonstrate on this last leftover piece of birthday cake what I did, and you can just kind of get the visual for as if it had been the whole cake, just to kind of give you an idea. So this is a football, the end of the football actually. So what I did, it's gonna be kind of messy. I put this over a wire wrap over a cookie sheet that has been lined with wax paper, because it does get a little bit messy. So as you can see, got this here, got the piece of cake, and I'm just going to pour over, just so you can kind of see the consistency. Hopefully you can see this by the way the camera is. I'm going to pour that over. Somebody's going to get an extra leftover chocolatey piece of cake. Okay, and I just did that over the whole cake. As you can see, it's very pourable right now because it's very kind of still warm and melty. Now, I let that sit for a couple hours and then it kind of finished off to its nice ending glossy sheen. As you can see, you just lift this up. There is chocolate on the wax paper. What you can do if you don't want to waste it, once it kind of has a little bit of time to sit, you can then take a little knife or a scraper and you can actually just lift it off the wax paper. You can put it back into a container and it can be saved and reused. Now, the other thing, so as you can see, that's very pourable. Once this kind of sets up, it actually becomes like a frosting, or almost like a fudge frosting. If you've ever had the can of chocolate frosting that you open up and it's, you know, it's real chocolatey, fudgy, and you can pipe or decorate with that, it gets to that consistency once everything kind of cools. So I had some left over. I put it into a piping bag. I did keep it in the fridge, and then about an hour or so ago, I pulled this out. So it's just the right consistency for piping. So I've got a star tip, and I'll show you this in a second. And what's nice about it is that you can decorate your cake. Just put like a piping border on that with this as well, once you get it set up to, I don't know if you can see that, do little rosettes, you can do your little shells. So you can you can use this one coating / frosting to do everything you'd want to do. And it's super good because it's chocolate and heavy cream. So it's not too bad. All right, see, I just did a few rosettes just to kind of give you an idea. Now, once this is all set, I have left this particular cake, we left it out on the counter. Technically, I suppose you're supposed to fridge this because it does have cream in it, but I think there's something to do with kind of the sugar that's in the chocolate. Sugar is a preservative, so I don't get overly anxious about leaving frosting out that has butter or cream in it. Some people do. You can fridge this. It's delicious from the fridge, but we just like the taste of the cake better with it room temperature. So I've left it out. Do what you will with that information, however you are comfortable. Like I said, I did put this into the fridge because I wanted it to kind of firm up and be able to decorate with it. And I wasn't sure how long I was going to keep it, so that's why I put that part in the fridge. But as far as the cake, like I said, we leave it out and it kind of tastes better and is easier to cut and serve at room temperature. What will I do with the rest of this? You can put this on graham crackers, which I know I think I've mentioned before, but it's just like a little chocolatey treat. While it's still in its more drizzly form, you could drizzle sugar cookies. You could also do your chocolate covered strawberries, and that is it's a very decadent chocolate strawberry as opposed to just melted chocolate, which a lot of people do, and that's delicious too, but this is kind of like an extra layer of decadence. Again, it's because of the heavy cream. I mean, it's tough to go wrong. So that's another way that could be used. You can do, a lot of people do petit fours, which are the little squares of cake. Sometimes it's filled with a filling cut into little squares, and then you completely coat it with the melted chocolate. What else could you use it for? I'm kind of drawing a blank because those are the ways that I have used it, but I mean, you can also just eat it on a spoon too. It's really good. So that is a basic little quick tutorial on chocolate ganache and what you can kind of do with that as far as, like I said, with Valentine's Day coming up, if you wanted to make some little chocolate treats. It is important, one other thing, when you have gotten the whipping cream to its heated point and you pour it over the chocolate, you want to let it set for probably 2 to 3 minutes. I think over the weekend I kind of poured it over and left it for 5 or 6 minutes, kind of walked away for a couple minutes to do something else and came back, and it's just super easy to mix. If you don't give it enough time to heat up the chocolate, it just is kind of too hard to work with, and then it can be frustrating. So I would say this that I have left, if I just let it sit in the bowl within a couple hours, it would set up to a point where if you wanted to try to pour it, you would then need to heat it up again, and you can just do a little bit of time in the microwave. I'd start with maybe 10 to 15 second increments and stir it, and then try that just so you can have it a good pourable consistency again, without scalding it. So I hope that helps. This is just super quick this morning. I've got a lot of stuff to get to today, but just wanted to check in, and hopefully you can give this a try and have a nice chocolatey Valentine's Day. Have a great day. I'll see you later. Bye.